All praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Makar Kwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This lesson is going to be talking about how color-based nationality leads to confusion, all right? And that's what happens in this world right now, by where people judge what your nationality is based on your skin color or based on your appearance, man. Right? Because there's a term that goes around in this world by where people call people black, right? And nobody on this world is black, yet everybody knows what that is, right? Everybody knows what that is, and nobody on this earth is white, yet everybody knows what that is. And then people, when they're talking about nationalities, it will sound something like this: he was black, he was white, he was Chinese, he was Muslim, which Muslim is not even a skin color. Yet when that gets said, people know what's being spoken about, right? And color, like I must say again, color-based nationality leads to confusion and division among a nation's people, right? It leads to the confusion and division, man, among so where you can end up looking at your own people like as they are your enemy. This is Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Right? So nationality is supposed to be decided by your father. So you're supposed to know what lineage or what nationality your father is, and then that easily decides what nationality you are, right? You're not supposed to say, oh, well, my mom's this and my dad's that, but his dad was this and his dad was that and his mom was that, and just start dividing and taking away and subtracting and divide and multiplying all the different people in your family and trying to claim that you're 1,000 different things in one. It's ridiculous, right? You can't be half Ethiopian, right? 20% Irish, 15% Guatemalan, and 35% Cherokee. Nah, you can't be that, man. You can't be 0.0001 Scottish on your nan's side. You're either whatever your father is, that's what you are. You can only be 100% of something, right? And that's why that gets rid of a lot of confusion where it comes to judgment, because you've got some people in this world that they actually think that they're asking a smart question when they say, oh, so you people are saying Edomites are going to get destroyed, right? So then what about if I'm half Edomite? It don't make any, like, they actually think they're being smart when they say that. And then when they hear that nationality is only decided by your father, then they have a stupid look on their face, right? People generally have a stupid look on their face if they hear that, because they'll realize that that makes more sense than what this world does. But they don't want it to be based on that. Because if you do that, then it would have been easier to know who exactly was an Edomite if their lineage were traced. Because everybody else would be able to prove that they are what their nationality is. So then if an Edomite can't prove that he's any other nationality, well, then it would stand that he is obviously an Edomite. And then they'd be rooted out of the earth, man. So that's why they came up with that cunningly devised lie to separate people based on skin tone, right? And I believe one of the elders said it was a man named Johann Blumenbach, right? And he speaks about that in the book Nature Knows No Color Line, where they started to decide your nationality based on your skin color, and they came up with 5 different classifications, man, right? Caucasoid, Negroid, Mongoloid, Indian, and I can't remember the other one, but they started trying to change things around because they didn't want it to be a thing where it was easy to decide what you are, man. Yahweh Shai's lineage is clear, right? When you go to Yahweh Shai's lineage, Matthew chapter 1 and verse 1, the book of the generation of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And when you carry on reading through this, you keep hearing continually men's names, right? To where then you end up going like this. Watch this. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. And this is how we know that nationality is decided by the father, because which tribes are all the people that say that they're Israelites from? Which tribes? If in fact, if nationality isn't decided by your father, why are people called Israelites? Why aren't they called Leahites, right? Or why aren't they called Rachelites? Why not? Or why ain't Dinah got a tribe? And this is what happened when you're trying to be too zealous to try and give women a portion of things that don't pertain to them, man. So many people in this world right now want to give women a portion of things that don't pertain to them. But when it comes to this portion that a woman can show her worth, they don't ever want to do this. Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 10. Who can find a virtuous wife? Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he have no need of spoil. She will do him good and evil all the days of her life. Where's that woman at? Women are always trying to desire to try and be talking about, oh, they making like that they've got way more power in the birthing process than they have, right? But then when they actually have the power, they want to abuse the power that they have got and then try and usurp authority that they don't have, right? They want to claim and boast about how they have the authority and they have the ability to produce children. And even women that don't have any children will make this boast, right? But then they don't want to claim and acknowledge that they need a man's seed in order to produce those children. They don't want to claim that if that husband says, I want a child that's 7'5", produce that for me with the seed that I just gave her, the woman can't do it. She can't do that. Or I want a smart child this time round. Produce one from your womb for me. Here's the seed. Produce one. She can't do that. They can't do it, man. It's not possible. And then men go out of their way to try and give women way more power, to where they try and make lies and say that women can have children without men when they've never seen it happen in their whole life. It's not even in the scriptures. That's a lie. He's clearly from the seed of David, from the whole lineage and line of David that can be traced back, and you can see it in the book of Matthew. This is Acts chapter 13 and verse 23. In fact, verse 22, and when he had removed him, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. Of this man's seed have God, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a savior, Yahushua. So how is it that people are trying to make out like women have got some kind of seed? They don't. Women can have offspring. They can have a beautiful role in aiding their child to grow. But they don't decide what the child's going to become. They don't even decide if the child's going to make it out of their womb. They don't really have power as much as they think they do in that process anyway. But then women want to take power over that, but then they don't want to take authority over the fact that they have the ability in this world to choose the nationality of their child to a certain degree. Women will be going out of their way to make sure that they have, pushing out more oppressors, more children of the enemy. They'll be going out of their way to do that. And then look sideways at an Israelite man that has children with a heathen woman, when he's making Israelites. You're making heathens by you doing that. Because the father decides the lineage, not the mother. So an Israelite man can only have Israelite children. But a woman can add to the confusion by having 5 children by 5 different men, and each of them are completely different nationalities. And that's why a woman's not supposed to be doing that sleeping around stuff, because it just leads to confusion, man. And in some of these houses where the mom's got all these different children by different men, you've probably got Edomites growing up with Israelites, growing up with Hamites. A lot of that's going on, man. It's wicked. It's bugged out, man. Let me go back to this again. Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. according to the number of the names from 20-year-old and upward by their polls, right? Nationality is decided by the Father. And Yahweh gave the Israelites, forced the Israelites into having to be spiritual because he put a curse on us for sinning against him. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I commanded this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 64. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood of stone. So the Israelites were scattered into all these different nations, and the prophecy states that the Israelites are going to be gathered from all these different nations, and they ain't going to be all looking like Deontay Wilder, man. So all you Wesley Snipes only Israelites need to fall back, man. All you Shaft only Israelites, you Samuel Jackson only Israelites, man. You need to relax. Because if you had a child by a woman that was a heathen, if you saw a woman that you thought was fine and she looked like a Jake, but she turned out to be a tear, right? You ain't gonna call your child a mamza. So relax yourself, man. If that woman that you end up dealing with that you thought was a Jake, she ends up she ends up telling you later on that her great granddad was an Edomite, right? You ain't gonna say, man, I bun that mamza child of mine, man. You're gonna love your child, man, and you're gonna treat him like an Israelite. So don't get carried away and try and make out like, oh, you have to have an Israelite woman and an Israelite man for the child to be an Israelite, because that would mean Yahweh Shai is not even an Israelite, man. So chill out, man. All right, calm down. I know you don't like Edomites. None of us do, right? We don't like Edomites. Even though if an Edomite woman is fine and she's attractive, she's still a demon. You know what I mean? She's just an attractive concubine demon. That's what she'd be. Like in the kingdom, some of these Edomite women are going to be attractive, right? And if a brother decides that they don't want to deal with them, or they don't want to deal with any heathen woman, then that's on them. But you don't want to be proud right now, saying, man, I'd never deal with a heathen woman ever in my life. And then in the kingdom, right, we catch you dealing with one. And then you just cut to the heart. And we're like, remember in the other world that you were saying you would never deal with a heathen woman. Look at you now, 1,000,000,000 years later. It took you some time, but you dealt with one. So you know what you did, brother? You was a hypocrite back then. You'll be cut to the heart. So don't get carried away saying you would never deal with a heathen woman, man. Relax, bro. Because in the kingdom, you're going to be alive forever. And all the nations apart from Esau, they're going to all be around. So you're trying to tell me in that whole time when you're 1,000,000,000 years old and 1? Or what about when you're 1,000,000,000,000 years old and 2? You think you might never see a heathen woman that you find attractive in that whole time? Can any of you honestly say right now that you haven't seen a heathen woman? It don't have to be an Edomite woman. Any of the other nations women that you think are attractive? Can you say that with a clear conscience and be telling the truth? I don't think so. I don't think so, man. Because even among some of our own women, some of them are not even attractive. And some of the heathen nation women will look more better than some of our own women, man. For example, some Ethiopian women look exactly like what an Israelite woman in certain cases wants to look like. But because of the curse of the hair, they don't have the hair to match. So you're telling me that an Ethiopian woman that looks like an Israelite woman ain't attractive to you? When she looks exactly the same as an Israelite woman, you're a liar. Right? And in the kingdom, when you're perfect in the law and you can't sin, you're trying to say you wouldn't deal with one? Well, I'm saying you're a liar if you say that to me. Because what would be the reason why you'd say it? It's not because you're trying to say because you're going to turn, your heart's going to turn away. Because how's your heart going to be turned away when you're under the new covenant? But in the kingdom, there ain't going to be no brother being all righteous anyway. And that's why we can't wait for the kingdom. Let me read this prophecy. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh liveth, which brought up, which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, which is America, and from all country where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So all these other, you think of Israelite in the north country, right? He's going to be able to flex on another Israelite and say, man, you ain't no Israelite. You ain't from the North Country. I'm a real Israelite. I was in that real gutter, in the trenches captivity, man. You didn't suffer captivity like me. You ain't a real Hebrew. You think they're going to be able to say that? Man, I was in Babylon the Great catching hell. You was only in Scotland. Or you was only in Netherlands. You was in Australia. That's minor. You know, Holly is a nice river there. You wasn't catching hell like me. I was in Babylon the Great catching hell. You ain't gonna be able to say that. You ain't gonna be able to say, oh, you ain't a real Israelite because you're this, or you ain't that, or you ain't a real Israelite because you don't look like Wesley Snipes' son. Or you ain't a real Israelite because your mom's not an Israelite. Well, my question to anyone that thinks like that is, who are you to tell anyone how much of an Israelite they are? If these people are going to receiving salvation, you ain't going to be able to be pushing up your face about who's receiving salvation in that time. You ain't going to be, if you're part of that great multitude, which I'm going to read it in a minute. Let me go to it. If you're part of the great multitude that's getting salvation and you look to the left or your right and you see a Moabite there, a person that looks like a Moabite over there, but they're not a Moabite, they're an Israelite, are you going to be scrunching up your face like, man, I don't want to get saved with this Moabite, man? With this Moabite? Are you going to be saying that's a Mamza? Are you going to be looking over them like, man, that's not a real Israelite? Or are you going to be thanking Yahweh that you're getting salvation? Revelation chapter 7 and verse 9, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. And all of these people are Israelites, man. Right? All of these people that are going to be gathered out of these places are Israelites. They're not heathens. They're not mamzers. Right? They're not tares. They're all going to be Israelites from one of the 12 tribes of Jacob, man. Whatever tribe that is going to be, that these certain people are going to look like, it doesn't matter. The thing that does matter is that they're Israelites. Let me get another prophecy. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. And it shall come to, let me highlight it. It's easy to see when I highlight it. And it shall come to pass in a day that Yahweh shall set his hand up again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. Meaning that even just among the tribes that are on the 12 tribes, I mean, they're going to be bothering each other, man. Because there's already problems within that. To where some people are trying to say that the Latinos and the Native Americans are not Israelites. When they are. Yahweh's forced us to have to be spiritual, man. What does the scripture say in the book of Acts? Which ain't talking about no salvation and no Gentiles, by the way. Acts chapter 15 and verse 17, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord and all the Gentiles, which this isn't talking about heathens, because show to me where the heathens are under the new covenant that's mentioned in Hebrews the 8th chapter and the 10th verse, or Jeremiah the 31st chapter and the 31st verse. Show it. If someone can show it, then I'll remain silent. Upon whom my name is called, saith Yahweh, who doeth all these things. Known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. So if you're seeing a person that's turned into Yahweh and they believe exactly the same things as you believe, why are you bothering them for? Why are you bothering them as if there ain't enough enemies down here to have to bother with? Now, if you're seeing somebody that's scoffing, that don't mean that they're getting salvation. And just because there's a heathen, a person that looks like a heathen, that can sing like a Drake, and they're a Drake, and you can see that they're a Drake because they got some kind of talent, that don't mean that they're getting saved neither. They're just a talented Israelite that looks like a heathen that's going to get destroyed. You don't get no more extra mercy because you look like a heathen and you're an Israelite. You still have to do the same and be worthy of mercy in Yahweh's eyes the same way as any other Israelite, man. You still have to be worthy the same way as anyone else. And you still have to believe in Yahweh Shai, and you're still going to have to not take the MOTB. You're still going to have to not take the Karagma. You're not going to get no special privileges because, oh, I look like an Edomite, but I'm a Jake, brother. Shalom, fam. Nah. You ain't going to get a special mercy because of that. You're still under the same things that everybody else has to be trying to do. And the same mercy that everybody else is hoping for. But like I said at the beginning of the video, man, color-based nationality leads to confusion, and people deciding what nationality you are based on your skin tone has led to a whole bunch of confusion in this world, man. All praises to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakar Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom. Till he left to the nation of Israel. Shalom.